CSS Digital Learning Services hosted a series of webinars based on ISTE's 5 competencies of digital citizenship. Each day of Digital Citizenship Week, we had a special guest presenter who was able to give us a deeper insight on each of those ISTE 5 competencies of digital citizenship. In the middle of the week, Thotz energized us with balanced digital citizenship from Common Sense Education. Citizenship is 1 week, but digital citizenship is not to be confined to a week. So we have these resources available for you year-round and as you need them. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope that you enjoy. All right, everybody, welcome to Digital Citizenship Week. We have Thotz here to talk to us about balance. She is the Director of Outreach for Common Sense Education, and she's the co-founder of Equity in Action CA.
Thanks, Jessica. You want to kick
Thank
off?
you for being here.
We ready to go?
We're ready to roll. Let's go.
All right, folks, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I see you all in the room, and for the folks who are joining us afterwards, I hope that we share a little bit about teaching, generally about, it says balance. I had to incorporate that in the title because that was what it was promised today, but really we want to think about like media balance and well-being today. So, on the first slide, I just wanted to think about the ways, well, I guess that you already did all that intro, Jessica. So go ahead and move on to our first question here. I wanted to see what you all thought in the chat, and maybe Jessica and I can think about this. This is often a question I open up with. I open up with a few different scenarios, but I ask folks, your friend, right, says that they waste too much time. They're complaining to you. They say, oh my gosh, I stayed up way too late last night, right? I'm sure this never happens to any of you. Maybe they were binging shows, for an extra hour too long last night, or they were just, laying in bed and doom scrolling, or maybe they're just exhausted today, or they didn't get their work done or whatever. And they ask you like, do you ever have this problem? How do you avoid doing these things, right? And what works for you? So that I'm asking all of you today, right? To put in the chat, if you can, what are some of the tips that you might give this person, right? Whether it's a kid, whether it's an adult, whether it's somebody that you know well or somebody that you don't, like, please feel free to add your own answers, about what you would do if you are able to, if you're not just like listening in the car while you're driving. If you're able to share with us, what kind of tips do you have for folks when it comes to curbing your media balance problem? Oh, Mary, you're too good. You go for a run and read a book. These are such wholesome things to do. Jessica, how do you prevent from spending too much time on your phone or watching TV?
It is tempting. My phone, oh gosh. I feel like I do so much on it that I always feel like I have to have it near me. So if I'm able to put it in a space where I need to either get up and go get it, or in another room, maybe I can still hear it, in case of emergencies, but having it at a distance is pretty helpful for me, because if I see it there, I'm going to be tempted to grab it. So sometimes I have to get it out of my reach.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that was why I got the stupid watch, right? Like, I don't like to have my phone on me all the time because it is very tempting, but having the watch allows me to just kind of take a glance and see that, the ding ding that just went off is really just a junk text, or, not my daughter trying to get a hold of me, right? So yes, all these things that you guys are saying, set a sleep time schedule. Excellent, Donna. And overnight charging at a distance. If you have the discipline to do that, that is amazing. Except my internet addiction, and treat it as such. I love that, Wendy. Like, acknowledge your weaknesses sometimes, right? Make a to-do list. Somebody else had a list, right? Having a checklist, a daily checkoff list. Like, I said that one of the things that I'm trying to do is just move more, and I actually just enrolled in a study to try to force me to move more. Where I'm trying to spend 5 minutes every hour just walking or moving, and I'm finding it really hard to do that when I do this Zoom thing all day, right? To tell my friends, that or my colleagues or people that I don't know very well, like, hey guys, I'm gonna go off camera for a minute and jog in place for 5 minutes. That's super embarrassing. But I'm trying to just, be more accepting of this and just ask people to say, hey, I'm trying to do this for myself, and I'm going to prioritize myself. I'm trying to get used to that. So yeah, I love this. Yes, move more, and watch is great for that. So yes, trying to stand on, like, we have a treadmill in our gym and has TVs in front of it. And if I want to go watch football on Sundays, I kind of have to I have to go on the treadmill in order to be able to watch football on Sundays. So yes, finding incentives to do that. Yep. Yep. That's awesome. Was there any on here that you saw that you thought were interesting?
We have some sleep timers and the watch reminder as well. Let's see. I think you already covered the making a to-do list.
Yeah, Hannah says canceling subscriptions so that you're not tempted to do this. Some of the things I've also heard are like turn off the autoplay, right? The autoplay will get you, and it will, make you sit there for, a long time. Unfollow or mute accounts, right? So just figuring out what notifications are really important to you. And then there was one, step away from time to time and just get your eyeballs on something else. I'm trying to make sure that I'm going outside every once in a while, right? I have a 5-minute break, go get myself outside, especially because I work at home. And so, yeah, doing this kind of stuff. Like, I think I want to try to normalize these little conversations between colleagues, adults, like saying like, hey, what do you do to make sure that you are taking care of your own well-being, right? Hold each other accountable, right? Try a challenge, these kinds of things. So I love all these ideas that you all have, and to try to make sure that we are sharing these ideas and trying to help each other out. I want to try to make sure that that's a bigger part of our lives in the way that we do things. So yes, so go ahead and hit the next slide there. And what I want to just kind of say is, yeah, I mentioned that remove that autoplay, right? And yeah, of course, I've tried to push the remote on the other side of the room, and that makes me get up and like turn on the next one if I want to turn on the next one. And that is some serious, I have a lot of inertia, so I don't get off the couch very well. Make a plan. And I like this because I think when it comes to our kids, like, consider what you're missing out on when you spend a lot of time on your phones, or when you spend a lot of times watching things or consuming. What is it that you are missing out on? And I love that idea of like going for a run, right? Reading a book, talking to people in real life or on a telephone, right? I know that's still tech, but it's a connection, right? Replacing it with something healthier a little bit and trying to make that plan, setting those limits. Many of you mentioned like timers or using apps instead. Oh, I like this one. I tried a different app instead of like Instagram or something, or Facebook, where you're like pulling your news from a feed. I have a news addiction. I try to just pull it from, straight from the NPR website or straight from New York Times or something, where there is a limit to the amount of content that you're getting every day, right? And so there's an end to that. So anyway, I mentioned down here there's a digital habits checkup, that list that you could use with your students. If there's something, I might mention it later, but that might be something to check out for you and your students to have a conversation about how you might check in on your daily habits. But let's get to the meat of stuff. What we're really celebrating today is Digital Citizenship Week. Yay, we're in the middle. We're in the middle of Digital Citizenship Week. If you are doing stuff for DigCit Week, please, by all means, give us a hashtag or put the hashtag in there and try to make sure that we all know about it and share with your community. And of course, you feel free to tag us at Common Sense. We have, go ahead and go to the next slide. We have all kinds of calendars available. So if you are just getting started with digital citizenship, or you are looking for ways to easily integrate this, and by the way, Jessica, feel free to share these slides with folks because they have a lot of hyperlinks in here. So for example, there is that K2 calendar link that's down there. And each of these blue pieces, the one that says meet arms, or the activity about meeting arms with the family planners, and any of these blue pieces are hyperlinks directly to those lessons. So there is a question of the day. And so the question of the day on Monday was, how do we balance our time and technology? So you do not have to celebrate DigCit Week this week. You can do it any time of the year, by all means. But we have this great Meet Arms activity. Oh, feel free. Go for it. Go into Meeting Arms, or go to the next slide. And what the question here is we are really trying to think about balance. And before we even check in, we want to do a little self-reflection. By the way, this is a kindergarten through second grade lesson, and trying to get your students to do a little self-reflection about how they're feeling, right? So before we even begin, how do we do a quick check-in? So I don't know how you like to do check-ins with little kids. I don't know if it's a like, if it's how they want to self-identify or how they want to indicate how they're feeling. Sometimes it's a matter of like placing a magnet on a board, printing this up and just like, moving your magnet to your position, or, indicating using your, whatever platform you're using. But just doing a check-in, and you can, of course, change these words or these emotions to better reflect your population. So, yeah, so when you get to the heart of the lesson, which is in the next slide, it's really about, how do we balance our time with technology in this feet lesson? So I'm sorry, this is not feet, this is arms. And there, yeah, sure, go ahead. There's arms is all about balance. So if you continue on to the word balance, when something has equal weight or importance is what the way that we're defining it here. But, so arms has really long arms. And the idea is that, arms is able to really, make sure that they are balancing their time between play, relationships and technology. So yeah, go ahead and continue on. Yeah. Yeah. Feel free to add the whole slide deck. Feel free to do that. And so I don't know if you set it up so that we could watch the video, Jessica, or if we just want to give folks the slide deck. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I can try to put on the sound.
Don't worry about it. It's just a quick video, and it's just about like introducing arms and what arms does. It's like a 1-minute thing that you could watch with your kindergarten, first and second grade. And if you get a chance and you want to pop in the whole slide deck to the chat, feel free to give that to folks. All I'm doing is just kind of sharing the calendars, which you can get all at the Common Sense Digital Citizenship landing page. And then I'm just showcasing some of the resources that we have here. So yeah, and feel free to move on to the next slide if you get a chance. Oh, now it's that's okay. Go ahead and keep going because it's gonna get real choppy. So the activity that goes along with this is a pause and think moment, right? So your young K through 2, your K2 kids can color the picture of arms and write out the things that they like to do, or draw pictures of the things they like to do without a device, right? So, and with your family, one activity you could do is draw some activities you like to do with each other, right? Like, what does your family like to do, and how do you do them without your device, right? What does your family do together? So, yeah, by all means. Oh, thank you, Carly. You guys are the best. Yes. So there's a little, there's a little intro to each character for all days of the week in that calendar as well. So what's next? Oh yeah, so these are some of the student handouts, and these are just some of the ways that these are all in Google Docs. And so feel free to annotate, or change out any of this language, and they're easy for you to be able to edit. So we're going to move on to 3.5, which I wanted to grab because there is a lesson at 3.5, which is a little bit different. It's called My Media Balance. But what I wanted to highlight is there are family activities in each of these calendars. And this family activity that's associated with Monday media balance and stuff is about how much is too much. And so what I liked about it's on the next slide, the share with families activity. What I liked about it is it's a way for you to have a conversation starter. Oh yeah, so here's the lesson, finding my media balance. And you do a section of this, and there's a little video, and it talks about what are some choices that we can make, and what does media balance look like for you as a student. So it allows the student to be able to share what does that look like for them. Right. So then the family activity that goes along with this is on the next slide. And it's really about like asking families to answer these questions together, right? Do digital devices ever keep us from getting enough sleep? Right. So it's not telling families, here's what you got to do, right? I think with all of this content, it is very much about like asking them to self-reflect. Do we use them while we eat? Do we do activities together? Do we use our devices together? Sometimes we all like to watch a movie together, right? Do our devices ever cause fights? That could be that's a fun question to answer, right? So these are all part of the family, send home activity, and ways in which we can help our families do some sort of self-reflection and evaluation together, especially at, younger grades, at elementary grades. Yeah. So I threw in here, I skipped middle school because I love middle school, but I put it in, they're very similar to the high school ones. So these questions of the day are a little bit different because they really focus on some well-being type pieces, and how does media and technology impact our lives. And so the one that I have here is, these are all new lessons that we wanted to highlight at both the middle school and the high school. So they're very similar. Middle school and high school calendars are very similar. And this one is about my values and tech. And this is the lesson that I'm going to showcase. So it's that Monday one. And there are 4 new well-being lessons for middle school and for high school. So I've linked both of those sets there. So the ones for high school are up top and the ones for middle school are down below. And so we're going to focus on just this my values and tech piece that's in here. So I love this lesson. These were developed with the Center for Digital Thriving, which is at Harvard Graduate School of Education, and these were released just this fall. And so I know Carly's seen these before, but some of the rest of you might not have. I don't know. We're going to find out. So so these are some of the values lessons that we have, and this one here, if we go to the next page, it's really, the question is, what are my values and how do media and technology impact them? So if I show you on the next slide, you'll see a list of different kinds of values, right? So I want all of you to take a look at this list. And what I'd have you do if you were all in my classroom is look at this list and see if anything is missing, right? Is there a value up there that maybe you hold, but you don't see? And then I want you to pick in your brain your top 3 values right now at this moment, right? So in this moment, what do you hold as your nearest, as your most important 3 values? All right, so see if you can pick 3 in your brain. And then I'm going to ask you to share one, right? To share one value in the chat that you picked, right? It doesn't have to be your number 1. All right, so Sonal says connection. I agree. Jessica, do you have one that you really value?
I'm leaning towards gratitude. I like so many of these, but if you're saying pick one, I think of gratitude and just holding that appreciation, keeping you centered daily. That's what I would.
Yeah. So thank you all so much for throwing these in here. Emotional health. Oh, if you were my student, I'd also ask you like, ooh, why are these things important to you? Right. Right now in this moment, like I will say, during Digital Citizenship Week, I am run ragged, right? I am presenting twice a day and connecting with people, and it is my most favorite time of the year because I get to connect with partners. So like Sonal, connection is like, oh, this is so much fun because I get to see a lot of people that I don't usually get to see, and I get to present, but I am exhausted. I am exhausted every night at 8 o'clock. I'm going to bed. And so I am doing my best right now to just have this balance. Like, I know it's our word of the day, but to remember that as much as I love this stuff and as much as I'm, trying to take this opportunity during this week and pack it all in, I have an annual backache that comes during citizenship week because I'm always just ditching exercise and trying to sneak in one more thing. And, but I'm trying my best to remember this year that it's so great and it's so fun, but I do have to take care of myself. So I'm trying to do this balance this year. So thank you all for sharing. I don't know what I would do without my connections, kindness, health, emotional, all these great things, right? Presence. I love all this. I value kindness. So here's what I want you to do next is I want you to take that value. And so on the next slide, I want you to ask yourself, like, I care about this value, but tech makes it harder because of whatever reason, or I care about this particular value that you just named, and tech can help because, right? Like, how does technology help you exhibit this value, or how does technology hinder your ability to exhibit this value? So that's what I want you to think about. And if you would like to share in the chat about how technology might help out or might hurt your ability to do these things. See, that's interesting, Sonal, because if you say that it hurts connections because you're always distracted, yeah, that's not what I would have predicted. I care about health. The technology makes it harder because I'm addicted to it and interfering with my sleep. I love it. People who read texts in whatever tone. Oh, yes. Yes, Vanessa, absolutely. I care about emotional health, but tech makes it harder because I am pulled in a million directions. You have a very difficult job, Carly, and that technology will, I am like a distracted, person. And every time that thing ding, ding, dings, I feel the need to go and respond to it all the time because that's part of our job, right? That's part of our job as parents. That's part of our job as community members. We want to be responsive to people. We want to take care of those folks. Caring about technology, caring about gratitude, but that social media comparison, right? Oh man, it makes you want more, right? Oh yes, right, Sonal, that connection. How do you connect if you don't have tech with your family across the sea, right? So, yeah, yeah, I know. Wendy, I am with you. That technology makes it easier for me to, set my timer for 1 hour and I got to get up, right? Or I got like that fitness, that Apple Fitness stuff allows me to like have a gym in my hand. And my call it my stupid watch, my smartwatch is able to tell me how many calories I'm burning and like, Sue, you're not moving enough today. Come on, get your butt moving, right? So there are so many conflicts. So when we think about this with our students, we want to think about the ways that tech enhances our lives, right? So Mary, about presence, but tech makes it harder because when in Zoom meetings, so many people don't even pay attention. Yes, right? It's hard to focus on this because we're always multitasking. Yeah, and it's really hard. But at the same time, man, when it's a terribly boring Zoom meeting, I really appreciate the fact that I can sneak in something else. I'm never in a Zoom room, boring Zoom meeting. That doesn't happen to me. But yes, it allows for a little bit of efficiency sometimes. So I know. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Marion, caring about kindness, because there are presenters like you home. Oh, see, now she's just making my heart real full. All right. Thank you so much. So these are the kinds of things that it's the technology. It is such a huge, important part of our lives. It is such an unavoidable part of our lives. And really, it's so unavoidable for our kids, but we want to give them that center. We want to be able to help them think about how technology can be beneficial to them without doing these distractions and running ragged and having all these problems that are associated with the tech. We love the tech, right? I love it. I'm so grateful for the ability that the technology gives us to connect and to create and to do and to learn and to do all these amazing things. But we have to make sure that we are grounded and that we remember what our values are and how to exhibit them and be reflective about ways in which we can keep that balance and keep the good stuff and ditch all the bad stuff, right? Or try to work our way out of it in our lives. So that is what all these lessons are designed to do, is just to be that quick reflection with your students, whether they're in kindergarten all the way up through high school, right? So what do I have next? Do I have anything else next? I don't remember. Something good in here, I hope. Oh, just a little summary of our characters that just says like, here's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to find balance in our digital lives, not just our students. We don't want to just tell our students that you all should all find balance and get off your computers and get off your phones. We, as the adults in the room, need to really model this and take care of ourselves and be reflective, and maybe be reflective out loud with our students so that we're modeling our thinking process and what it is that we're doing, and set aside that time and that space in a non-judgmental way so that our students can really be reflective too. So that's what we're trying to do here. And I think that's it. That's all I've got, Jessica.
That was a lot. That's incredible. I think a lot of people are really feeling that gratitude, kindness, looking at the values, even the slide where you have them all laid out. I think that that's something important to refer back to, because I think in that activity, I was kind of gravitating towards a couple, and there are some that I didn't even really get a chance to go back and look at. And so having a list like this helps us to remember there's so much more. And I think with having phones in our hands all the time, sometimes our world can get that small. And so remembering to look outside of ourselves. And I love that we were talking about fitness as well. You talked a lot about like movement, being out in nature, and some of those things that we may not prioritize or may not make time for. Just remembering like it's out there. Nature's out there. It's like just one door away.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I think, all of us who are so busy, right? I know many of you are so hardworking, and I'm trying my best and using whatever motivations I can to give myself the permission to take care of myself. I think that's part of it, is like, I feel like I'm letting people down when I don't work harder. And then, when I don't give it my all to every single person, that's hard. I think that's hard for a lot of us who feel like the obligation is to everybody else. And I know that we all work hard, but at the same time, we have to remember that we can't run on empty all the time. We have to sit down, and part of that is giving back to others when we model ourselves how to have that balance and how to be mindful about the ways that we are being self-reflective all the time. So, yeah, you got to take care of yourselves, folks, especially if you're working with kids, especially if you are part of a family. We have to give ourselves permission, and we have to check in on each other to make sure that we're all doing this. I mean, that's a big thing too, I think. So my team is holding me accountable to make sure that I am not getting my annual backache this year, and that I am exercising in the morning, and and that this is fun, right? Like getting the opportunity and the honor of being with our students. It should be a joy. It should be 100%, the thing that we love most of the time. But, and I think, we have to take care of ourselves in order to be able to really do that.
But I definitely appreciate you being here. I know this is a crazy week. And so having you present for our SBCSS DigCit week is just such an honor.
All right. All right. Thank you all. It's been a pleasure. Take care, all of you. I'm so happy to see you all here, and I hope to see you live in person very soon.
Amazing. Thank you everyone for attending. We have 2 more days of Digital Citizenship Week. Tomorrow we will be joined by Michael Arrington, who will be teaching us how to be alert online and how to help our students see those red flags and things to look out for. Also on Friday, we will be ending with Ann Cosma from Flip, who will be talking about engaged digital citizenship. So with that, we will go ahead and end today's session. Thank you, Sue. Thank you all for being here. Happy Digital Citizenship Week.
Take care all. Bye-bye.